For me, I got into this work through necessity, through the same type of story that developed in my own way, through anxiety, through panic attacks, depression, through suicidal thoughts. I lost my father when I was young. He took himself out. He shot himself. As we know, intergenerational trauma is passed down. So I watched my father self-destruct. I watched my grandfather self-destruct. So I was very much on that path of self-destructing myself. When you're doing that type of active breath work, first of all, you're activating your sympathetic nervous system, and your body is converting your breath into energy. So you're starting to feel that energy in your body, and it's a tangible feeling. Like you can feel tingling or vibration sensations in your body. You're starting to slow everything down, go into those breath holds, and you're activating more of your vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system, and you're going into that rest and digest state. So the benefits of doing that.
Why do you think we're here?
Here
on Earth.
I think we're here on Earth.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Journey Podcast. If you're here, please subscribe, like, comment, turn your post notifications on. This episode brought to you by Evermore Alkaline Water. As always, cousin enjoying his, spilling his all over the place right now. Today we
good. It's good.
Today we have the pleasure of sitting across from an absolute legend. Founder of Awakened Breathwork, has worked with people from the names of Jake Paul, MGK, Kid Laroi, Travis Barker, you name it. When you think of breathwork, you're the guy that comes to mind.
Let's go.
So
Lukis Mac.
We're sitting across from an absolute legend. Thank you, Lukis Mac, for joining us.
And
thank you too. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. This is episode 100.
Yeah, you're episode 100.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. We think very highly of you, bro.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate
very highly
that.
of you. Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I was saying when I walked in, we were talking about mindset and we were talking about hustle. And I said that when I walked in, I could see that you both have the mindset, the drive, the work ethic, the hustle to take it wherever you want to take it. Because, I can see that when I walk into the space with your energy, with the way you set things up, I can see the hustle and it excites me.
Appreciate that.
Put fire in my soul.
Yeah, it means a lot. That's something.
This guy's already legit. I can already tell you.
But yeah, that's been something we struggled with. Sometimes we do doubt ourselves, and then
don't we all? I still go through that all the time.
Yeah. And then we have moments where we're like, why do we even doubt ourselves? You know what I mean? And then it's this constant battle with just kind of at war, with ourselves.
At war with yourselves.
At war with ourselves, but. Thank you, man. This is awesome that you're here.
Thank you so much. No, I guess I just right off the bat, again, I know we already gave you flowers, but I want to give you a little bit more flowers because this lane of self-improvement, spirituality, I don't exactly know where you would coin yourself outside looking in. That's how I view you. You're here to inspire, elevate, what's the word? It's the collective consciousness and just make the world a better place. And you do it authentically and uniquely. What you do is very unique. I mean, just look at you, and it's very inspiring to me because coming from a very conservative community in Long Island, New York, and coming from a athletic background where people aren't very open-minded and there's not very individual thinking. It's very collective. You're one of 75 guys on the team and you do your job and you don't ask questions about anything else. So I got very into all of this out of necessity because of a panic attack disorder that God bless was able to overcome through a lot of very hard work. And I think tapping into what you said before, just the overall flow of life and maybe God. And, I'm just so excited to be sitting down with you today and learn more about your mission because it's very inspiring.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. And same for me. I got into this work through necessity, through the same type of story that developed in my own way, through anxiety, through panic attacks, through depression, through suicidal thoughts. I lost my father when I was young. He took himself out. He shot himself. And as we know, intergenerational trauma is passed down. So I watched my father self-destruct. I watched my grandfather self-destruct. So I was very much on that path of self-destructing myself. And I had to face all of that. And for me, it came up, through panic attacks and depression and anxiety. And then I had to make a choice to look at what was actually happening for me and what I was feeling underneath the surface. And I had to make a, agreement with myself that I was actually going to face all of that, face my demons and work through that. And I didn't know what that looked like at that time. And I was fucking terrified, and I had no tools and I had no support. And I just went on this 10-year journey to start to uncover and unravel and let go and express and move through all the shit that I was feeling and dealing with. And eventually that led me to breath work. And when I found breath work, that was the catalyst, because even though I was into so many different other modalities and holistic therapies, and I was into it all, but I knew a lot of my homies weren't into the things that I was into. They were too out there for them, and they needed something more grounded, something more practical, something that would maybe give them a spiritual experience, but it wasn't so much labeled as spiritual or woo-woo. So when I found breathwork, I was like, oh, this is dope, because the fundamental principle of this is we're just breathing, and it's the breath that's the medicine in this case that's going to take someone into a non-ordinary state where they can have access to their subconscious mind. They can start to process their emotions. They can start to let go of stress and tension and have their own clarity and insights and creative solutions to their life. And that was the thing that most drew me to this work, because when I first experienced it, the first session I did, it was like 10 years of therapy. I really broke through on another level. I had so many breakthroughs. I released so many emotions. I understood myself from an expanded perspective. And I just knew that this was the thing that I needed to become obsessed with and study and become qualified in, and then take it around the world in my own way. And that's what I did. But it was a journey.
Yeah. Wow.
How do you explain breath work? Like my father, if I mention breath work to him, I understand it's out there now. And it definitely is way less woo-woo than, maybe psychedelics or pranayama or Zen Buddhism. But still, if I go to my dad, hey, let's do some breath work, my dad's going to say, sure, shut the fuck up, No,
I get that, because that's how I felt about it when I first found it. I was like, I already know how to breathe, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of this?
Right.
But our breath is controlled by our autonomic nervous system, meaning it's an automatic process, but it's one of the functions of the body that we also can take conscious control of, meaning we can shift our state. We can regulate our nervous system. We can process stress and tension. We can process our emotions through breath work. We can also shift our brain waves. We can move from like beta brain waves, which is our analytical thinking mind, and we can move into theta or alpha brain waves. We're in that more relaxed, creative, open state where we can start to connect to our intuition. And the voice of our intuition is always there, that inner voice, but we're so disconnected from it because we're so busy in everyday life and we're focusing on everything externally that we lose ourselves in the world. And breathwork is a way to slow down and to come back to yourself, come back to the present moment, because most people aren't actually living in the present moment. Most people are they're carrying the story of the past into the present moment and overlaying it onto the present, because it's the limbic system, the part of our brain that processes memory and emotion. This is where it gets trippy and people don't understand this, but that part of our brain works in a non-linear way. So it processes the past, the shit that we've been through that we haven't resolved, the present moment and the future simultaneously. It processes it all now happening in this present moment. So the things that we haven't dealt with, the things that we haven't processed from the past, we overlay them into the present moment, and that becomes the lens in which we see reality through. So breath work can support us to address what's underneath the surface, heal our relationship with the past, and to work through things in a really, I guess, efficient and quick way. And that's one of the reasons I really like it, because it's efficient and it gets the job done, and it's really powerful, and it's an experience that you're having internally, meaning that you are your own healer in this space. No one is healing you. You're doing the work on yourself. You're having your own breakthroughs. You're having your own insights and clarity and creative solutions. It's all coming through you. Yes, there might be a facilitator supporting you in that space, but they're just supporting you to do the work, and you're doing the work on you. So yeah, there's so many different functions of breathwork that we could talk about it, but what I'm most passionate about is supporting people to heal their relationship with the past, overcome limiting beliefs, and to let go of stress and tension and unprocessed emotions and trauma, and start to create the life that they truly want. Just let go of all the shit that's holding them back and really step into creating the life that they want. Because so many people are just, they don't feel empowered, and they don't have the tools to tap in and start to create the life that they want. So, yeah, that's what it's been for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's something that, I'm a victim of completely. I know you probably are. We all are, of just carrying all that baggage, all that trauma with us into every single situation, and then we're never able to actually appreciate things for what they are, because we're already scared of what happened to us. So now we're kind of trying to prevent a situation from happening when it didn't even happen yet, just because of all the things that we've dealt with.
Yeah, man, it's so true. Like, there's 3 ways that we keep ourselves in resistance to living in the present moment. And the first thing is our past attachments. The second thing is our present distractions. And the third thing is our future resistance. So we can break that down. Our past attachments is the things that we've been through in life that we haven't had a chance to sit with. We haven't even had a chance to process yet. We haven't had a chance to express and to let go. And we all have those things that we've been through in life that have hurt us and that have fucked us up, and we haven't had an opportunity to process it. So that keeps us out of the present moment, because as I said, the limbic system, the part of the brain that processes memory and emotion, will overlay those things into the present moment. And then that becomes the lens in which we see reality through. And then we have our present distractions. Yeah. And our present distractions could be any way that we keep ourselves from living in the present moment. Look at social media. We're so addicted to our phones, addicted to scrolling, addicted to drama, addicted to being in other people's business. There's so many ways that we keep ourselves busy and distracted. And all of that keeps us from actually living in the present moment. And then there's our future resistance. So it's what you talked about. It's about worrying about worst case scenarios that haven't even happened yet. Fear, false evidence appearing real. We're mentally rehearsing these future scenarios that haven't even happened yet. And we're putting our focus and energy on these things. And all of that takes energy out of the present moment. And a lot of us are just living in that constant state of stress and living in survival. And when we're doing that, our body's utilizing a lot of its internal resources and energy just to cope with what we're feeling on the inside. And we're not actually using our energy for creating, for taking action, because so much of it is used just living in survival, living in these stress responses. So breathwork can help us with all of that, because it can start to allow us to really process all of those things and bring us into the present moment. And it's the present moment where we find attunement to ourselves. It's the present moment where we find connection to our inner voice or our intuition or our higher self, the part of us that knows where we are, where we've been, where we're going, the part of us that has, information to what's working for us, what's right for us, what's not aligned for us, and if we start to tune into that voice and not only tune into it, but listen to it, write things down, and we start taking action on that inner guidance, that's a way that we can move things forward in a way quicker, more effective way than just relying on logic and the analytical mind. So breathwork can help us do all of that.
You're a fired up guy. I could just see it, man. Yeah. You're fired up. I love it. How? Where are you getting that from? Why do you care so deeply about this topic?
Well, like I said, my father took his life when I was 7 years old. Yeah. So he was struggling with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, addiction. And if my father had these tools, he would probably still be alive. And there's a lot of men in my life that have taken their life. There's a lot of people in my life that aren't here anymore that didn't have access to these tools. And that's why I care so much, because I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to live in a state of anxiety and fear and be depressed and be suicidal and not want to be here on this planet anymore. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are living in that state, and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. They have no idea of how to get out of that space. And fortunately, I found a way to get out. And now I'm here to support others to do the same. And not everyone's ready for this, but a lot of people are. And I'm ready to support those who are ready to make that change. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work, because if my father had had this work, like I said, maybe he would still be alive today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you, I lost my mother when I was a kid as well.
Yeah.
And when you try to explain that to people that haven't lost a parent at a young age, they could feel for you, but there's nothing like actually going through it. How did you deal with that as a kid? And how has that affected you outside of like you wanting to use breath work to change people's lives?
Because that didn't come in late, years
right, that
later.
came in later. So how did that, from
I
a child?
didn't deal with it as a kid. Like, I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't even know how to process my emotions, and I was an only child, so I made the decision at 7 years old that I was going to be the man of the house and show up for mum, and I didn't even know what that meant, but that was the choice that I made at that time, meaning that I was going to show up for mum, and I was going to not allow how I was feeling I wasn't going to put that on her, I was going to numb myself, distract myself, suppress what I was feeling, and I was going to show up to the best of my ability for her, because it brought up all her trauma, all her unresolved pain. So that's where the anxiety started. That's where the panic attack started. That's where the depression started from a young age.
Wow.
I remember being rushed off to the hospital and doctors hooking me up to the ventilator machines till I could breathe again, because you know what it's like when you have a panic attack. You think you're fucking dying. You have no idea what's going on with you, and especially at like 7, 8 years old, have no fucking clue what's happening in that moment. All I know is that I can't breathe. I feel completely overwhelmed and out of control, and all of these things carried on, throughout my childhood, and they didn't get better, they got worse. So at a certain point in time, I had to look at that, and beneath the core of it, beneath the surface of all of it, was just a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief. There was feeling abandoned, feeling let down. There was a part of me that didn't feel good enough, because if I was good enough, then why did Dad leave? Like, why didn't he stay around for me? Because if I was good enough, he would have stayed around. These were the negative or limiting beliefs that I took on, that I wasn't worthy of love. And all of that became a driving force that played into every area of my life, because I fundamentally believed that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't worthy of love. So I was on a very self-destructive path. And ultimately, I was on a path of ending up exactly where my father was. And I didn't want to do that to my mum. So I had to make the choice, like, we're going to make some changes now, and I don't know how we're going to do it or what we're going to do, but we're going to figure this shit out. And I didn't have anyone to help me. I didn't have any role models. I had to figure this out on my own. And that's, again, why I'm so passionate about it, because, now I'm on the other side of this. I realize that people don't have to live in these states. There's things that we can do to make positive changes in our life, to move beyond what we've been through. The past doesn't have to define us. And yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about this work. And breath work is it's a really powerful tool that we all have access to, so yeah, that's what it's been for me.
When you found breath work, so you said you spent 10 years doing other practices as well? Yeah,
so it first started with hypnotherapy. Okay. My girlfriend, she started studying hypnotherapy, and she would do sessions for me, and they were really powerful, and they helped me a lot. She also studied a modality called body talk. Body talk is a really powerful modality where they do kinesiology or muscle testing to kind of tap into you and see what's going on a mind-body level. And I started working with different therapists and different healers, and all of these experiences helped me, and they were really powerful. And they really supported me on my path. Yeah. But when I found somatic therapy, that was when things changed, because it's the body that holds on to stress. It's the body that holds on to unprocessed emotions. It's the body that holds on to trauma. And while I'd been doing all this work and it had been helping me, my body was still holding on to all of the shit that I'd been through in the past. Right. And when I found breath work and somatic therapy, I was able to let things go somatically, meaning I was able to process things through my body, not through the mind, but through the body. I was able to let things go through my body. And that was so powerful for me. And then from there, we became obsessed with it, and I started studying, and Yeah, it hasn't stopped. You know, we created our company 7 years ago, and we've been fortunate enough to travel all around the world and support thousands of people. And now we're out here in the States, and we're doing our thing. And it's just an honor and a pleasure to be here. And we're just getting started. You know, we've only been in the States for 1 year. So we're just getting warmed up. And we know that, you know, people are starting to open up to this work. People are starting to become interested. People want to learn more about how they can, you know, deal with their mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. So we're in those times, you know.
Is there any, outside of breath work helping like the mental aspect, living in the present and preventing those problems, is there any like scientific evidence to help any type of diseases or cure anything?
Yeah, there is people that specialize in that. That's not something that I specialize in. I more support people on that mental, emotional, kind of energetical, spiritual level. So that's not something I could talk about just because I'm not qualified to talk about it. But there is many people that do that. Dr. Joe Dispenza, for one, is curing people of terminal illnesses and making, you know, changing lives on a whole nother level. So if anyone is interested in, you know, working on the physical like that, then I would recommend looking into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, because on the front-facing shop, his work is very, I guess, analytical, scientific, but when you get behind the curtain, it's very woo-woo and it's very spiritual, and it's a direct experience of transformation and healing. He uses breath work as one of his, you know, tools that he uses in his toolkit, but it's so much more than that, and it has to be something that is experienced. So.
Wow.
And then, you know, I've heard Wim Hof say, because I was actually doing Wim Hof for a long time, and I loved it. I fell off because I think I was listening to Andrew Huberman. He was speaking about limbic friction. Are you familiar with that? Yeah. So I could completely butcher it, but for anyone who doesn't know, from what I understand about it, limbic friction is just when you wake up in the morning and it's 5 a.m. and you said the night before you were going to go for a run, and you wake up and you don't want to go for that run. You're feeling that friction. Breath work for me was really amazing because it's hard. I mean, it's a real commitment. When you say you're going to sit down and, I mean, I don't want to breathe in front. I'm actually nervous to breathe in front of you. I'm embarrassed.
Nah, don't be silly, bro.
Yeah,
come on, bro. Let's get it.
Nah, but you know, when you do the when you do that, and then you hold, when you commit to doing that, right, and then holding your breath for 3 minutes, and then at the end you're feeling so amazing, there's a weird block, at least inside my head, where I don't want to do, although I felt amazing, I don't want to do it again. But then I do it again, and then it feels better. And then over time, that's why, like, breath work for me, whenever I've done it, it was a routine thing. It was like, I have to do this every single day. And if I don't, it doesn't become scary, but it just becomes it's one of those things, like, if you don't read for a while and you pick up a book and you're like, I'm not getting this shit at all. So I guess where I was going with that is I have no fucking idea where I was going with that. I was going somewhere with that.
Yeah, for me, I've just made it non-negotiable.
Right.
So I don't negotiate with the part of me that doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I just have decided.
And do you still get, like, do you still not want to do it sometimes?
Most days.
Really?
Yeah, and that goes for so many other things, like working out, doing the cold plunge, jumping in the sauna. There's a lot of days I don't want to do any of that, but I don't negotiate with that part of me. I've just made a decision to not. And it's helpful for people to know what's happening too in the body. So when you're doing that type of active breath work, first of all, you're activating your sympathetic nervous system, and your body is converting your breath into energy. So you're starting to feel that energy in your body, and it's a tangible feeling. Like you can feel tingling or vibration sensations in your body, you know, and then from there, you're starting to slow everything down, go into those breath holds, and you're activating more of your vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system, and you're going into that rest and digest state. So the benefits of doing that, regulating your nervous system, letting go of stress and tension, starting to shift your brain waves, going into deeply relaxed states. You know, there's so many benefits that are just beyond the basic health benefits that allow you to shift your mindset and move beyond that resistance, like you said. So when you commit to something and you have that resistance, one of the things that really helps me to move through that resistance every single day is just to not allow that voice to lead. So that resistance doesn't go away for me. It's always there, but I don't allow it to lead. Now, there'll be days where it's really fucking loud and it's hard to get up and do the things that I've committed to. but guess what, baby, we're doing it anyway.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's go.
And it's like that commitment to yourself, because that's what it is. It's a commitment to yourself is what builds confidence. It's what builds resilience. It's what builds self-respect, you know, and so many people don't have a connection to that, and they don't stick to their word. And I think that's where we get into these areas in life where we feel miserable and we feel like life's not working out the way we want it to, because as we say we're going to do something and then we don't stick to it, we lose energy, we lose power, we lose momentum. When we do the things that we said we're going to stick to, we gain power. We feel good, we feel strong, we build resilience, right? And that's why we should be sticking to our word and doing the things that we say we're going to do. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy, but that's part of the human experience, right? Is to move beyond that resistance. And we all go through it. And it doesn't matter where you're at in life. And if you're tuning into this, if you commit to something, there's going to be days where you don't want to do it. And that's just a part of the work, you know?
I want to get practical. I want to say, you know, we're probably at a point now, 20 minutes in, where people are probably saying, what do we mean though by breath work? You know, so like, how long is this? I mean, where can people go? What type of resources? Like,
yeah, I'll break it down to you like this. So within our company, Awaken Breathwork, we have our daily breathwork practices, which is, it's our maintenance work. It's the work that we do on a daily basis to keep ourselves accessing that flow state, to keep ourselves in tune with ourselves, to keep ourselves feeling high vibe, you know? It's the daily work that we do. That practice could be as little as 5 minutes to 30 minutes to whatever you want it to be. There's no rules. You make up the rules to your own game. It's just about committing to it. Then we have the deeper therapeutic work. Now, when we're talking about the deeper therapeutic work, when we do a breathwork journey, that might be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So it's a longer, deeper therapeutic journey for the intentions of letting go of stress, tension, unprocessed emotions, and trauma, and tapping into expanded states of awareness. So it's the closest thing that you could get to a medicine journey, sitting with plant medicines. It can be a psychedelic experience for a lot of people, not for everyone, but it's a really powerful way to access a non-ordinary state of awareness and explore your own inner world. So that's the difference. People will want to be doing that. Everyone's different, but it could be, you know, once a month, once every few months, a few times a year. It depends how deep you want to take the work. You know, when I first started, I was doing it every day, and I didn't stop, and I just kept going. But I was more obsessed with it. You know, I knew that I was going to be doing it as a career. So I wanted to understand the ins and outs of like doing this type of journey work. But for now, where I'm at, I like to do deeper therapeutic sessions every 2 weeks. That feels really good for me. I set my intentions. I look at what I'm processing, what I'm feeling in the present moment, what stresses are there, relationship, business, finances, whatever's going on, family stuff, it doesn't matter. I get really clear on my intentions, what I want out of the experience. I write that shit down, and we go in and we do the work, and we come out the other side and we have breakthroughs, and I understand things on a whole nother level. And the cool thing about the therapeutic work is it's not just about letting go. It's also about calling in. So we can tap into universal law and work with the law of attraction, the law of vibration. We can work on, you know, mentally rehearsing the outcomes we want, seeing it, believing it, and then going out there and taking action on it. But when you're in a breathwork journey, you can actually receive a lot of creative solutions and insights and things that you couldn't tap into in your general everyday awareness. You have access to more information. So when you come out of a session, things are a lot clearer, things make sense, and then you know what you need to do. So that's the benefits of doing the deeper therapeutic work.
Wow. Yeah.
How can someone like get started today? You know, is there an app or something?
Yeah, so we have an app, Awaken Breathwork. Check it out. It's in the App Store. You can go to our website, awaken.com. In the app, it's more of the daily maintenance classes. So the classes could be anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes.
And what's your favorite, like, do you do the Wim Hof stuff or?
No, we've created our own modality. So when I first started training with breathwork, we studied a modality called rebirthing, and we also studied holotropic breathwork. And we studied a bunch of different modalities that we incorporate into awakened breath work. So awakened breath work isn't just about breath work. We're using energy work as well. We're working with tapping or EFT, emotional freedom technique. We're also using meditation and visualization, and that's a big part of awakened breath work.
Wow.
And yeah, for me, my favorite practices are combining all of those things that I just mentioned. Breathwork is just one element of it.
Wow.
But when it comes to the deeper therapeutic work, to answer your question on how people can try this out, there's many people out there that are doing it. But if you want to experience awakened breathwork, we run events here in LA quarterly. Our next event is in January on the 24th, and the events sell out, and we run them every 3 months. So the events themselves are 4 hours in length, so we go really deep, and yeah, it's a powerful way to just come in and get whatever you need out of the experience. So
it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The thing I think that separates majority of people is knowledge, and then when you look at the everyday person versus this uber successful people, the main thing that got those people to where they're at is knowledge. And like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, and like you even mentioned, like I know how to breathe. You tell the everyday person about breath work, they don't even think twice about it. But now you see all these very successful people, especially ones that you've worked with, all tapping into breath work. Why are they coming to you for breath work? Like guys like Jake Paul, MGK, like how did that come about? And yeah, what is the reason for that those people know about it and then majority of society doesn't even think about it?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I feel like for those individuals that you're speaking on, they've already achieved so much in their life, and a lot of the things that they've achieved have come from their trauma. So you get to a point in life where you have achieved everything that you want to on the material plane. Like you've manifested, like a motherfucker, and you've got millions of dollars, you've got all the success in the world, you're famous, you've got everything, but yet you may still feel empty inside because everything's been a catalyst that's been built from your trauma. So you get everything you want, and then you still realize that you're miserable and unhappy. So you look into doing the deeper work. You look into alternative healing modalities and therapy. And fortunately for myself, it's like I get to work with those people who are ready for it, and for them, they're ready. Wow. They want to tap in, and they don't necessarily want to do it through clinical type of therapy. They want something that's a little bit more creative, and it's a little bit, on their wave. And that's where I come in, and that's my specialty, and that's what I love to do.
Wow. Are you upset with Western medicine?
No, I'm not upset with it. I see the function of it, but I think a lot of us give our power away to it. So that's where we're at in society. We've been giving our power away for so long that it leads people into these traps where, they are not willing to take responsibility for their own lives, and they'd rather take a pill than do the work. And that's where a lot of people are at, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then are there times where someone's too far gone and breathwork can't help them? Like, are there certain mental illnesses that are incurable? We sat down today, and I've met so much people, growing up in Long Island, there's so much, there's so much neurotic people. Growing up in New York, so much neurotic people on all these different types of antidepressants, antipsychotics. I didn't even know how popular it was, because I just didn't grow up with, that option as a male. Females, like, my mom took antidepressants growing up, but, is there a point, like, for instance, my aunt, she went through a very horrible divorce after, 25 years. Her husband cheated on her with another woman during the pandemic, and it just, like, completely broke her. Are there people that are too far gone to help with breathwork and holistic practices?
Yeah, it's not about being too far gone. It comes down to the stages of change. And do those people actually want to work on themselves, and do they want to create positive change in their life? If they do, then if that's what they're ready for, then they can do that. For a lot of people, they're not ready to make positive changes in their life. They feel victimized. They're looping the past, into the present moment, and they're really attached to their story. And they feel like they don't want to work on themselves, and they don't want to be told what to do. And they have different addictions and coping mechanisms that they're not ready to let go of. So that's just a personal choice where everyone's at. Breathwork can only support someone who's ready to be supported. If you're not ready to receive support, then it's not going to work for you. You'll be in resistance to it. And that goes for anything else, you know?
Yeah.
It's like personal training. It's like, can you support someone who's really overweight, but they don't want to do the work and they have no idea about calories and what they're putting into their body, and they're constantly overeating? You can support that person if they want to make a change, right? But if they don't want to make a change, how can you support them? They're just going to carry on in the same cycles and do the same old thing and get the same old results, you know? So.
Can I ask you a crazy question?
Of course.
You've obviously done a lot of deep work, and you've been around a lot of other people that have done a lot of deep work, and I'm sure you've read so much books and have just done so much in this space. Why do you think we're here? What's going on, guys? Hope you guys are enjoying this podcast as much as I'm enjoying this nice ice cold Evermore. I was gonna get on here and try to do a bunch of salesy shit. Honestly, this water really is amazing and the company is amazing. To get one of these, go to evermore.com. There's a store locator on there. You can look up, what stores in your area, if it's Whole Foods or King Cullen or Wild by Nature or whatever it is. They probably got this. It really is amazing and keeps us hydrated, smooth, and feeling good throughout the summer.
Like here
on Earth.
I think we're here on Earth as a part of a learning school, like Earth School, I like to call it. And each and every single one of us is here for our different purpose. And we all can find our purpose by the things that light us up, by the things that feel like it's our soul's calling, the things that we get energy from. And for me, on a personal level, I believe that I'm here to play a role in supporting people, to be of service. And that's what I find gives me energy and what lights me up. But we're all here learning our own lessons, and we're all here on our own timeline. And it's all just a part of the unfoldment of the human experience. And it gets to be lit. It gets to be really fucking lit, because not only are we here to co-create and manifest our dreams into reality, it's the recognition that that's our birthright. And whatever you want to create is not only possible, but it's your birthright to do so. So that's about taking radical responsibility of your life, realizing that you are the creator of your own reality. And that's where it gets to be fun. Like, you get to sit down and design what your future looks like. And then you get to go out there and make it a reality. Most people aren't thinking like that, and most people aren't living like that, but the choice is there, because we're creating either consciously or unconsciously. We're still creating, but why not be in the driver's seat? Why not take conscious control of our future? Why not manifest like a motherfucker and create the most wildest, dopest life? Because we can, you feel me? But a lot of people ain't, So again, that's what I've done for myself. Like, I'm living my dream right now, and this is just one level of my dream. And I know there'll be many more levels of the dream that I create. But once upon a time, the life that I live now was impossible. It seemed like something that was so far out there that I would never be able to attain and never be able to reach. And now I'm living it. But it took consistent, aligned action, self-belief, dedication, and tapping into that part of me that's courageous and not afraid to put myself out there, not afraid to bet on myself and invest in myself and go all the way in on plan A. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't go all the way in on plan A. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of other people's judgments and projections. They're afraid of their own judgments and projections that they place upon themselves. And they live life in this box, in this cage. They live life in these limitations that they place upon themselves. But really, like, we have an opportunity to work through all of that if we choose to, So that's really what I'm about.
Yeah. A lot of people forget that you have a choice.
Yeah.
You choose what you want to do.
And that's a weird narrative, like I come from the sports background, and it's good to be a winner, pays to be a winner. I think that's it's a Navy SEAL thing. They have this training called BUDS, which is like they are awake for 7 days straight, carrying boats over their head. There's gunfire going off in the background. They can't eat. Like, it's the hardest. The hardest of hard guys in America do this, and I think it's like 3% graduation rate from the class. And
people die during it, right?
Yeah, people have died, and they say, you know, it pays to be a winner, because if you win your challenges, you know, those boat crews get time off. And that's why, what do you think is going on in society with, you know, I feel like people are trying to include everyone and make people feel safe and secure, but really that's actually the thing that's hurting people the most.
Yeah, well, I like the saying, winning isn't everything, but training to win is, because it's a mindset, right? And I think a lot of people not holding themselves accountable to that mindset, they're letting themselves slip, and they're not really showing up for themselves. They're not raising their standards on what's possible for them, and they're living a life that's mediocre, and they don't actually realize that, you know, they have the power, like you said, to choose again and to move outside that comfort zone, because we all know that's where growth happens, right? When we move outside that comfort zone. So I think a lot of people are just living in the comfort zone. They're just existing, but they're not actually challenging themselves on a daily basis to critically think and to be creative and to take bold action. They're kind of just existing and going along with the program, like they're living in their own conditioning, and they don't even realize that's what's happening, because they don't even believe that it's possible for them to create their dreams into reality, because they haven't even started thinking like that. But it is possible, and there's so many people out there that have done it, and if we choose to, we get to do it for ourselves too, and then be a permission slip for others to do the same. So I think what you're talking about with the guys that are out there conditioning their mindset to really outrageous, you know, wild things, and there's only 3% of people that make it through that experience, it's because it's fucking hard. And it's really hard to achieve your goals and to manifest your dreams into reality too. It takes a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work. But guess what? Like, either way, time's going by, we've all got to die, and we're all here for a limited amount of time on this planet, and we're here to, you know, if we want to do the extraordinary, to move beyond our upper limits, to tap into the part of us that's limitless, and lead our life forward from that place if we choose so. But it is a choice, and I think most people aren't ready for that choice, and they're kind of just stuck existing and living in the comfort zone.
I think someone that you've worked with that has showcased that to the extreme is Jake Paul. And I wanted to talk about your relationship with him, and what do you think your breathwork has done for him in his boxing career and where he's at? Because obviously if you look at Jake Paul from when he was on Vine and YouTube, everyone has these narratives about him of who he is, and I think he's a completely changed different individual, like two different people. And I obviously watched a documentary on Netflix. You're a big part of that with him in the breathwork. So what changed for Jake Paul, and how was it like working with him?
Yeah, well, Jake's a beast. Like his work ethic is really, really high, and he believes in himself and his ability to create his dreams into reality. He has like an unwavering belief in himself. And when I first got to LA, about 3 years ago, we were kind of coming and going from LA, like visiting from New Zealand, being in LA for a bit, then coming back to New Zealand. And I moved in with Jake Paul, and it was wild because his house had just been raided by the FBI, and he had this beautiful $10 million mansion in Calabasas called Team 10 House, and the whole house was lit. It was wild. The house was so big that I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in the mansion, and it was a decked out 2-bedroom apartment that was like amazing. It was so lit. And at that point, Jake hadn't transitioned into boxing. So he was starting to make that transition. And I think where the breathwork has supported him is to find his own clarity around what he wants to do, is to focus, is to move beyond all the distractions of being a young kid in LA who's super famous as fuck, who's got millions of dollars, who's on the wrong path with, you know, limitless distractions, and to kind of weed through all of that and to focus on what he actually wants to do and get clarity on that, and to work through his own trauma and the things that he's been through, and to find his own connection to his power. And I've been lucky enough to work with him for 3 years, and he's taught me so much about raising my standards and what's possible for me. So yeah, he's on his path, and he's going to do big things in life, and he already has, but he's not going to stop. So yeah, he's a different type of individual. He has a different type of mindset. And yeah, when he locks into something and he focuses on it, it will become his reality, because he's done it time and time again. And he has so many doubters and so many haters, and it all fuels him. And he uses that energy, and he uses it to create momentum and propel him forward, you know. So he doesn't mind playing the villain. He doesn't mind being the bad guy, you know, because he's going to flip it and he's going to use it to his advantage. So people don't know that Jake Paul's actually a marketing genius. He's a really fucking smart individual. People just see the antics, the bullshit. They don't realize they're playing into all of it, and he's making millions of dollars from it and doing what he loves. You know, he's engineering the whole thing. He's a smart man. Yeah.
Would you say he's one of the people who have benefited the most from the breath work that you've worked with?
Well, it's hard to say, because there's certain people that are public like that, but I've been working with literally thousands of people now from all around the world, and the stories that we, you know, get on a daily basis of what transpires after the sessions, because there's what happens in a breathwork session, and then there's what transpires after. And what happens in a breathwork session is people will process stress and tension and unprocessed emotions and trauma, work through all of that shit on the mat. But then what happens after a session is people's life starts changing. Those limiting beliefs, those traumas, that stress and tension is no longer running the show. So we've moved all those blocks. So then they go towards whatever they're creating with no resistance, with no blocks, and their life starts transforming, and they're doing it from the inside out. So it's at this point in time, it's one of those things that blows my mind, when still to this day, when I get messages from people around how their lives being able to transform. Like some days I'll literally sit down and read people's messages, and I'll just fucking burst into tears, not because I'm sad, but because I'm overwhelmed with, like, I'm so proud of people and what they've been able to accomplish and move through, because I know what it's like to struggle, and I know how hard it is to make real change in your life. So when I see people move through, overcome addictions and overcome, you know, mental health issues and things that they're struggling with, and they start to create real life positive change in their life and, you know, transform and do the things that they want to do, it's the best fucking feeling. And now it's been thousands of people, bro. Wow. So yeah, it's hard to pinpoint what, you know. Yeah.
I want to roll a little clip of a lot of people having not insane, but very aggressive, maybe not aggressive is the word, just emotional reactions, grown men crying, women just, it looks like, it looks crazy, you know, what's happening there?
Yeah, well, I talked about the limbic system before, the part of the brain that processes memory and emotion. So one of the things that we're doing in a breathwork journey, remember it's an extended amount of time. We're laying down and we're doing specific breathing techniques for anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. And we have our eyes closed when we're doing that. So we're not focused on our external environment. We're focused on our internal landscape and what's happening for us on the inside and how we truly feel. So a part of that is we start to access more of the limbic system, which is the part of the brain that processes memory and emotion. So things from the past that we haven't dealt with come up to the surface to be felt, to be expressed, to be processed. And then we start to move through all of that. And as we process it, we start to let it go, and we start to liberate ourselves from the past. So that's what you witness in that space when you're seeing people complete the stress responses from the past, feel and process their emotions, and to tap into so much energy and life force. It's all happening internally, and they're kind of in control of that process. And it can look pretty cathartic and pretty wild and pretty out there. But when you're experiencing that, it doesn't feel what it looks like. It feels very liberating and freeing and just mind-blowingly fucking amazing.
What did it feel like for you when you found breath work and then you made the commitment? You said as soon as you did it, you got obsessed with it. So you started doing the deeper work once a day. And then, I mean, I don't know where you're at with your ego, but I mean, you first moved to LA, you moved into Jake Paul's house. that's kick fucking ass. You know, you worked with everyone.
It was a wild journey, yeah, when we first came here.
Like, what is that? Do you feel proud? Is that crazy to you that you've been able to work with all these people?
Yeah, it like blows my mind, because there's a lot of people that I work with that I can't even talk about. Like, you know, we have non-disclosure agreements, and there's things that I wish I could speak about for motivational purposes, but I can't. And those are the things that blow my mind, that I've been able to access these people, and not just that, I've actually been able to support them to create transformation in their life. You know, it's amazing, and it's something that I work towards. These are things that I manifest into my reality. They're not just by chance. Like, I'm out here doing the work, and I'm putting that out to God, that I want to have those opportunities. And I know why I want to work with someone. Like, I don't just want to work with them because they're famous or they got money. I study them. I see their stress responses. I see their trauma. I research what they've been through. I know how I can support them to make a breakthrough. So the time when it actualizes into reality and I'm working with them, we just get to work and I get them results. And that's why I've been able to work with the type of people that I've worked with, because when you start getting people real results, then word spreads and people become open and receptive to other high-level people that are telling them, hey, you have to do this, you have to try this. This really helped me out. Check it out. And that's how it's been. It's all through word of mouth, you know. So yeah, it's a blessing. And sometimes I pinch myself and I look in the mirror and I'm like, this gets to be my life. Yeah. How fucking rad is this?
Right.
Yeah. I always say that, you know, I almost feel bad for people that haven't been through anything, and more often than not, you can't even relate to people that haven't been through anything. And it just seems like there's this recurring thing throughout our lives. Like, the people that have been through the most are able to give back like 10x than what they've even been through. And like, for you to be able to do that after all the shit you've been through, and he's had his fair share, I've had my fair share, and this is our way of giving back and providing value and leaving an impact. It's like, you know, we look back and it's like, maybe you had to go through all that trauma, all that stuff, all that shit that majority of people couldn't get through, but you know, God wouldn't give it to you if you couldn't handle it. And now that's why you're in this position you are. There's like so many things that we don't see that is a bigger purpose. And in the moment, it may seem like why is this happening to me? But I mean, to look at the things that you've accomplished and be where you're at, and even where you're going, you probably haven't even scratched the surface yet.
No, we're just getting started, but you're so on point with that, bro. And that goes to every single one of you tuning into this podcast, because if you're going through it right now and you're struggling and you can't see light at the end of the tunnel, realize that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Everything is in divine alignment on a higher level, and the things and the challenges that you're growing through, and I'm saying that growing through, because you are growing through those challenges, are supporting you to be the person that you came here to be and create the life that you want to create. And it doesn't feel like that in the moment, and I know that. So you might be listening to what I'm saying right now and you might not resonate with it. But when you start to move through whatever your challenges are, and you start to gain strength and gain power and start to heal your relationship to the past, once you're on the other side of that, things will start clicking and making sense, and you will realize that God doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. And some of God's greatest warriors have to go through the hardest challenges, because we knew that we were strong enough to go through it. We knew that we were strong enough to take on these challenges and break intergenerational trauma and work on ourselves and heal patterns and work through addictions and go through all of these things to come out the other side to say, I can do it and you can do it too. And we get to be permission slips for people. You know, a lot of people, they don't have a support system around them, but when they see people breaking through their own limitations and healing themselves, that's a fucking massive green light. Like, that's a huge win just for someone to be in someone's presence who's doing the work. Do you know what I mean? And to normalize it, because for a lot of people, this work they don't have a reference point of people doing this work. It's not normalized out in society. It might be woo-woo and out there, and that's one of my whole things. I want to ground this down. I want to make it accessible. I want to make it dope to work on yourself and make it a part of culture, because bro, this is the life that we get to live. A part of it is doing the work on ourselves. That's how we create transformation and we create the life that we want. Who wouldn't want to do that? Yeah, it can be really overwhelming at times. It can be scary. It can bring up a lot. It does. It's a part of the work. It's a part of moving through it. But you are strong enough and powerful enough and courageous enough to move through everything that you're currently experiencing and come out the other side and transform your life. There's no doubt about it.
Wow, man. Good for us. Good for everyone listening too, good for us, good for us. So this is what we're passionate about. Yeah. This is what fires us up, I can genuinely say that this is what I love the most. And I love Rocky. I love, Italian sausage and peppers. I love Jersey Shore fist bumping. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all things like I grew up with that I'm always going to love. But for whatever reason, like, this is the stuff that I love the most. And it fires me up the most. And it just excites me to even enjoy it at this age. And then to be able to spread it. To be able to spread it. And that's been our goal. And again, just to thank you for coming on our podcast, because I told him you were the person we were most excited about. We were both most excited about coming on because we just want people to give the advice that we're not advanced enough to give. When I look at you, I could tell that how old are you?
40 years old now.
You're 40 years old.
Yeah. How do I look?
Not fucking 40.
Yeah.
You look like a gangster.
Yeah.
Spiritual gangster. Yep. But nah, man, you look great, bro. And like, I could just tell that there's so much behind. You said your dad's 7 years old. You went on this journey. I do want to speak about your girlfriend because there's probably so much amazing things there. But it's just you're like one of the best in the world at what you do.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, me and my girl have been together for 17 years now, and we started this journey together. So we both grew up in West Auckland, a suburb of New Zealand, that has a lot of challenges, a lot of gang violence, a lot of, intergenerational trauma, domestic violence, abuse, cycles of addiction. And that's kind of the environment that we grew up. And we always knew that we were different and we wanted to get out of that environment, break free of it. We didn't know how, but we took that journey together, and it's been nonstop ever since. And it's been amazing. We've done it from the ground up. We've made millions of dollars along the way doing our thing, having fun doing it, and supporting so many people. And that's one of the things about doing deep inner work on yourself. It translates to real results. So if you want to have a successful company, if you want to make millions of dollars and be out there in the world and actually be satisfied with the life that you're creating, and not just be doing it from ego, but be doing it from your own inner alignment, then working on yourself is going to be a very necessary, non-negotiable part of the journey, to get to where you want and to be satisfied when you get there.
Are you in love with her?
Of course, bro. Like, so deeply. And it's such a deep love. It's like one of those, it goes beyond physical form. It's, we're entwined on a spiritual soul level. And we came here to do this work together, and we're out here doing it. And enjoying the ride together, It's cool. It's like every day we get to have our own little party at home, celebrate, vibe high, and then go out in the world and do our things.
Yeah.
Do you have any kids?
No, I'm not having children in this lifetime. No. That's not a part of my journey. I really want to get a dog, like so bad. I want a dog. Like, it's just not the time for me. We're traveling a lot at the moment, but maybe next year for sure.
What kind of dog?
I don't know yet. We'll see. I really like little French bulldogs, but there's a lot of dogs that I like, so I would just let it come to me. We'll find the right dog, at the time. But as for having children, I just knew from a young age that was something that I personally didn't want to do in this lifetime. And again, that's about knowing yourself, right? Because a lot of people, having children for them could be the best thing in their life. I've got so many friends that have children, and for them it's changed their life. That is their inner work. It's transformed their life. That's their personal development, and they fucking love it. I just knew for me it wasn't my path,
Do you think that your soul's mission ends in this lifetime?
No, I think I'm just getting started in this lifetime. And you know, I think I've been at it for lifetimes.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a continuation onto the next, whatever we're doing. Then I don't have access to that information.
Right.
We'll see when we get there. But yeah, it don't stop.
Yeah.
You know.
Are the tattoos symbolizing anything? Are they, you know, because like I have a sleeve here. It was all for my mom. Every single piece of it is a piece dedicated to my mom. Like, what do the tattoos for you resemble?
Yeah, well, I think earlier on in my life, this was my armor. I didn't know that's why I was getting heavily tattooed at the time, but it became my armor, you know. And when I was really young, before my dad died, my dad had tattoos. My uncles had tattoos. So I was around it, and my dad gave me a skateboard, and the skateboard had tattoo style art on the back of it, and then he took his life. And I remember being really obsessed with this skateboard and the art on it. Like, something about the art just really lit me up. I think it was like a skull, crossbones, and some fire. I don't know why I was so hyped on it. I was just really hyped on it as a kid. And after my dad died, his brother would come pick me up on the back of his Harley, and we'd go to like Hell's Angels rallies, and we'd go driving all around New Zealand and camp out and be with all these bikers and heavily tattooed men. And I guess I got conditioned to see that side of life as like, that's my family. So tattoos felt like a natural thing for me to get into. At first, I didn't know necessarily why I was getting so heavily tattooed. When I look back on it now, I can see that was my armor. That was my shield. That was me protecting myself, you know, saying, get back, don't come too close. There's armor around my heart. You know, I've been hurt deeply, and I don't feel worthy of receiving love. So I'm going to put up these walls. And that was a part of that process, you know. But now when I look at my tattoos, I just look at them as a creative expression. Yeah, they do have meaning to me, and they all represent different stages of my life and cycles that I've been through. But if I had to do it all again, I'd do it totally different, and I wouldn't get half the tattoos I have, but I don't regret any of them.
Wow.
Why wouldn't you get half the tattoos you have?
I'll just choose different things.
Yeah.
I'm not the same person I was when I got tattooed heavily from a young age. I started getting tattooed when I was 16. Yeah. It's like getting suited up, you know? So yeah, I was a different person back then, and I made different choices. So I would still be heavily tattooed if I had to do it all over again, but I'd make different decisions.
Right. You just tattoo over them.
Yeah, I could, but
like Travis Barker, right?
Bro, I spent 20 years getting tattooed, bro. Like,
crazy.
You know what I mean? It's been a process, and it's like there's a lot of hours that go into that, and it's painful, and it sucks to sit there for so long. And not just that, a lot of money goes into it too, you know?
Right.
So the idea of doing like another full bodysuit, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. It's crazy. I guess, you know, we always, you know, we're coming up here on, we're a little over an hour. I mean, I want to be respectful of your time. You know, something that we always ask at the end of the podcast is purpose, but you know, you went into that so much. I guess I want to ask you personally, what are you dealing with and what are you working on?
Right now, I'm working on scaling our business. Yeah. So we started our business first in New Zealand and Australia, and we were running live events around New Zealand and Australia. We went out to Europe and stuff as well. And that was our primary focus. And then when COVID hit, we moved everything online. And that was an awesome part of like the business and pivoting and reaching more people. But my goal is to reach millions of people all around the world. Right. So to do that, I know that we have a lot of work to do. So I'm in the trenches, you know, focused on that work at the moment. And yeah, my goal is to create impact. My goal is to get this work out there. There's so many people out there that don't even know what this work is about. They have no fucking idea. So I want to educate people and just empower people to do the work on themselves, whether that's through awakened breath work or any other breath work or another modality out there. It doesn't matter to me. It's just I want to create impact, and that's my mission. So what I'm working on right now is behind the scenes on some big projects, and you know, just working on things that are a work in progress, and we're just hustling. We're just out here doing our thing.
Well, I meant more so specifically, are you still working on things internally, or do you got it all figured out up there?
I feel like I've healed my relationship to the past and the things that I've been through, But that's not to say that things still don't come up for me, because they do. But I'm really aware of my stress responses. I'm really aware of my internal thoughts and the stories and the narratives that can come up. And while they still come up, these internal narratives and whatever it might be, I don't feed into them anymore. I don't give them energy. I don't give them power. So if I have a limiting belief that comes up where I'm doubting myself, yeah, I'm aware of it, but I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to put energy into it. I'm not going to put time into it. I'm not just going to sit there and let that part of me run the show. That part of me is there. It exists, but it's not in the driver's seat. So that's where I'm at now. There's these parts of me that have been conditioned through past trauma, through things that I've been through that hurt me, that are still there. And, they scream out for my attention from time to time. And then it's just about, meeting myself with love and compassion moment to moment, and not feeding into those parts, not letting them run the show. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not really working on healing my relationship with the past. I've done a lot of that work, whether that be with breath work or plant medicines or with therapists. We've gone deep, baby. Yeah. We've gone all the way in.
Yeah.
And now it's really about creating the future that I most desire. And that's where my focus is. I'm less focused on the past and I'm more focused on the future and living in the present moment and feeling free and limitless in the present moment. So if I'm not feeling free or limitless in the present moment, that's an indication to me that I need to go work on something, that there's some stresses behind the scenes that are taking me out of the present moment, and I need to access that internal state of freedom and magic and synchronicity and joy from within, and come back to that state, and then live in the present moment and use my energy and life force to focus on the future and what I'm creating. So that's where I'm currently at. But every single day I'm supporting people. Every single day I'm working with people, and I'm out here and I'm supporting people to have breakthroughs and heal their relationship with the past and create whatever they want to create. So yeah, every time I sit with someone and I support them, I receive a gift too. Like it heals me, it supports me. I have a breakthrough of some sort, because I'm with the person. I'm feeling what they're processing. I'm feeling their emotions. I'm sitting with them. We're talking through things and we're somatically working through it, and yeah, every time I walk away from these experiences, it still blows my mind today, even after 10 years of being in the work. And I never come out of a session and be like, I wish I was doing something else, or, there's something else out there that I'd rather be doing. It's like, nah, this is it. This is what I want to be doing, So I don't get sick of the work, and I don't get sick of supporting people in this way. To me, it's just, it lights me up so much, and I gain so much from it, So yeah.
Is there ever a point where sometimes like the stories or people's trauma that they're relaying to you and what they're trying to let go of, is it ever a lot, since you are working with so many people and now you're almost taking all of that in? Because like we did it on a micro level where we get messages a lot, on the internet, and people share their stories. And a lot of times we check our phone in the morning and it's
dark.
A 12-year-old telling me his mom just died. Someone, they heartbroken. Someone died. You know what I'm saying? And it was a bad way to start our day a lot, because I'm just reading all this trauma, and now I'm almost taking it with me. So how has that been for you, like dealing with all of this trauma, and now you're like almost their savior?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not their savior. And I don't see it like that. I see it like I'm there to support those who are wanting to create change. And it's up to them. They're the only ones that can do it for themselves. I'm just playing that supportive role. I don't judge what they've been through as wrong. I don't see it as wrong. I see it as that's their life lessons. That's the challenges that they took on, that God gave them, that they're strong enough to work through and to move through. And we're going to move through it together. They have to do the work. Yeah. For me, it's energizing. For me, it's uplifting. Even if it's heavy and it's intense, if the person's willing to put in the work and they're willing to do what it takes, then I know that I can support them. And I know that we're going to create massive breakthroughs. And because I know that and have the formula and I've seen it over and over and over again, I don't get stuck and feeling weighed down by it, because I know that we're going to create momentum and we're going to move through it. And I also do a lot of my own inner work, and I have a really slow morning routine, like 4 hours long, that I do every single day.
You would hate Alex Hormozy. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, all these people with these morning routines, I just wake up and work.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. I love him. I think he's awesome. For me personally, because I am dealing with so much intense trauma and really hardcore things, I need regular practices that support me to reorganize my subconscious mind and everything that I'm taking on, to process my own emotions and to find my way back to myself and to my center, because I'm dealing with a lot constantly and it doesn't stop. So these processes and practices that I do every single day have become a non-negotiable part of my life, and it's one of the things that helps me to be successful. So I think people like him are awesome because they don't need it and they can do it and they can be successful and they can run multi-million-dollar companies and he can do his thing. Hats off to him. That's not me, and I know that's not me. So you got to listen to yourself, and you got to listen to what works for you, and you've got to trust that, and you've got to own it, and make time for it.
Wow. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said.
Yeah,
I think it's more so like right now. So we don't really give much advice. We more just speak about what's going on in our everyday life, and that's how we help people. It's more inspiring. I remember, actually, I was playing junior college football right down the road at El Camino. It's in Torrance, and I had a roommate who, big guy, should have done things, should have went to the NFL. One day just stopped going to practice, and I would drive myself insane, trying to get him out of bed, trying to get him to practice. And kind of like what you said before, you can only help people that want to make a change, because resistance is, if people, don't want to go to the gym or do their physical therapy, do their breath work, it's not going to do anything. On today's episode, now that we're at the end, I would like to not give advice, but maybe just, call everyone to action. Anyone listening to this is like, I understand with our podcasts, people get inspired, but right now I would say, what resource can someone go to right now where they can do breath work right now in this moment?
We created a practice called Awaken Daily. Anyone can access it for free on our website, awaken.com. Once you learn it, it takes about 5 minutes to do. And it's a really powerful breathwork practice that will activate you and support you to access more energy. And then from there, tap into that really slowed down, regulated state where you can bring your presence back into the present moment, and you can think clearly and you can tap into creative solutions, and you can understand yourself and what you're actually feeling. So the practice is called Awaken Daily. It takes 5 minutes. Anyone can do it. You can do it every single day. I'd start there, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just get it.
Yeah, and then I'll add on top of that, I would say one of the best things that we did was read. So I'd say go to Barnes & Noble, go to the self-help section, and just see what that's all about. And really, it's just about committing to, if you don't like your life, because there's so much of us that don't like our lives, it's really just about making the commitment to change it. So thank you guys for being here. It means the absolute world. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, cousin, for believing in me. It's been 1 year since we started this podcast.
Let's go.
Yeah, 1 year. Yeah, November 14th, pretty much, we became official co-hosts. And to just look at the growth from starting in his backyard in his mom's shed with, one camera and two $30 microphones to be sitting across from you a year later, it doesn't seem real. So
that's so sick. And that is a testament to, investing in yourself and betting on yourself and going all the way in on plan A, So that's what we all got to do.
Thank you.
Cut.
Wow.
Come on.